This AskReddit user asks, Reddit, what's become clear to you as you've gotten older? Life isn't fair. Broadly gestures to 2020. Yeah. But why can't it ever be unfair in my favor? Quote, Calvin. Right? Your parents aren't always right. You're gonna lose a lot of people as you're getting older. Move silently. Don't let everyone know what your next goal is. It's good to have hobbies. Live life how you want. BC you're gonna be judged anyways, might as well enjoy your life. And love your FG selves. Heat death. My DK is average size. Average. That the world doesn't resolve around America. The minute you turn off social media, internet, it's mostly irrelevant. Also, American freedom doesn't look all that appealing. When I was a kid, it was a dream to live there. Not anymore. Too much hatred, violence and lack of unity amongst people. Think twice before you judge someone. You'll do things that at one time in your life you never would have imagined you were capable of. Life is hard. And so am I. Not again, Uncle Kenny. When I saw your username, for some reason I read it as a musical number. It's my DK in a box. Your parents isn't always right and you need to make your own ideas and decisions. Your parents isn't always right. Aren't always right. Learn to spell Andy. Love from Dad. Your correction is not really a spelling issue, but a misuse of proper grammar. With love. From Grandpa. Grandpa always knows best. Nothing actually matters and everything is all in your head. You don't need a brand new car. You don't need to work a shitty job and you don't need to get in the best college in the world. The only things you're set to do in life is be born. Eat. Sleep and die. Yeah, got 3 out of 4. Between those moments is up to you, so enjoy the good and the bad. Live your life how you want. Because any other way really isn't worth it. You can lose your virginity to a pool jet. Twice if you're adventurous. I'd say you'd be called adventurous after the first time. Apologies in advance. But you sound like you don't have the guts. Chuck Palahniuk. Growing up, my mom always told me I would start liking certain foods as I got older. Of course, she was referring to the foods I was picky about. Sorry Mum, I don't think I'll ever like celery or coriander. Chewy stringy water that you have to add stuff to. That celery and lobsters have no real taste, but for the garlic butter I'd rather have bread garlic toast be. People will judge you no matter what, so you might as well be yourself. Dress however you want. Buy those silly surprise toys you found cute at the counter. Play outside. Draw on your wall when you get the urge. Like is too quick to allow yourself to be unhappy. People will judge you anyway. So let them judge your shelf of cool Kinder Egg surprises. Friendships don't last as long as you think. And that's not to say things will end badly. The friendships will just slowly stop existing. And that's okay. There are only a few people in your life you will spend 20, 50, 70 years around. And that's if you are DN lucky. Most friendships are like chapters in your life. And you're a chapter in theirs. You can spend 5 years as someone's best friend. Then they get a new job. Meet a new girlfriend, boyfriend. Have to move for some reason. Or a billion other things can happen. It's okay. Let them go. It's not your fault. There isn't something wrong with you. Remember the good times and try to stay in contact or let them know you care. Think of it like this. If you had to spend the last 60+ years of your life with everyone you were friends with at 13, is that something you'd really want to do? We all grow and change. Life hits everyone different. Relationships don't have to last forever to truly mean something. This makes me feel sad for some reason. I met my best friend in 2nd grade and we were best friends in an instant. We're going into our sophomore year now, still best friends. Don't read this as an absolute truth. Friendships may take more work the older you get, but they don't necessarily always end. I've been friends with one of my best friends since 5th grade. This June will be 20 years since we both graduated high school together. The friendship has survived lots of life events. There were times when we didn't talk for 6 months or so. Not because we were upset with each other, but because life got in the way. It takes work. Intentional work to stay friends for many years. Both people have to want to commit to keeping the friendship going. Sometimes that's just too much to ask. And sometimes it's okay to move on. For what it's worth, I'm going into my junior year of university and I'm still close friends with the people I was friends with in 8th grade. Including the ones who moved away. Some people just don't like you. Don't waste your time trying to find the reason or trying to make them like you. It's not worth your time. Education doesn't mean morals. Live your life the way you want to. You will meet kindred spirits. And if you're like me, they'll put a stop to your nonsense simply by acting like you. The summoning rituals worked. Hard work does not lead to success. It almost always leads to being tired though. Without getting any recognition for your hard work. Work normal and do yourself a favor. Work to live. Don't live to work. Dolly Parton sang a very famous song about all this. Sometimes you have to let go of things. Nothing is really what you think it is. The view of my scalp. You're not losing hair, my friend. You are gaining face. Utilize that extra real estate. F. Nobody knows what the FK is going on. Nobody knows what the FK is going on, and where you start early in life is the largest determining factor in your future success. So many people want to be hard on themselves for not being as successful as others, thinking those people somehow have it all figured out, when the reality is those people just probably had a much easier start than you did. But you shouldn't use where you start as an excuse not to try. There are plenty of successful people with bad beginnings. Certainly I was going to add exactly this but wanted to keep it short. I just think it's important for people in the age of influencers to realize there are many different factors that contribute to success, and many, though not all of them, are out of our control. Forgiveness often isn't a one and done type thing. Sometimes you have to forgive someone over and over again for the same thing. And you do it for yourself, not for them. Also, forgiving doesn't mean forgetting, and it doesn't mean you have to keep that person in your life, even if they're family. A modern haircut, fitting clothes, watches, and shoes are the male equivalent of makeup. My boyfriend needs to see this. Your crushes fade if you let them. It's not the end of the world and the death of your romantic life if you get turned down or broken up with. Also, none of us knows it all. Even me. Surprisingly. I wonder what it's like for the people that end up with your unattainable dream person. Not my eyesight, that's for sure. Most people learn from making their own mistakes, rather than listening to the advice of others. It's maddening seeing younger people make the same bone-headed decisions you did, with absolutely no interest in hearing about the consequences from someone who's been there. Better to just sit back and enjoy the show. And try to keep the "I told you so"s to a minimum. Yep. The more you try to stop them, the more you hurt your relationship with them too. I've learned to let people make their own mistakes. If they ask for my advice, I give it, but otherwise I don't say anything. It's something I never understood, tbh. My mom always told me to never repeat her mistakes. I always try to listen to people's past experiences and then I decide if that makes sense in my head or not. And I feel like I'm going the right way. My life is getting better step by step. I'm not repeating my mom's mistakes. Yet she kicked me out a month ago, lol whelp. I'ma need some text to connect the former to the latter. We always want to be at a different age than what we are. I think most people are okay being 22 when they're 22. I'm 22. I don't want to be 22 right now. Spending my early 20s stuck in isolation and quarantine. I was doing that before the quarantine. Most people don't know what the FK they are doing. People don't change. They just walk around in circles. I haven't been in control of my life this whole time. I have begun to realize that the vast majority of people are not in control of their lives. I guess nobody is actually in control, but most people don't come close. Most people stop actually learning when they graduate high school. Or before. And this leads to a life of true dependence on social tides. Political persuasion, marketing, internal emotional immaturity, religious programming, etc., etc., etc. I think the world is full of people looking for things to cling to. Has anyone really? I'd be happier if I was stupid. There's no line you cross to become an adult. When I was 12, I thought I'd be an adult when I'm 18. At 18, I still felt like a kid and thought that would change once I'm into my 20s. But 25 felt no different from 18. Then I thought my youth would end at 30 and I'd have to eventually get my ST together. Now I'm 35, and while the days seem long, the years just fly by. I still remember celebrating my 25th like it happened last week. Now I'm beginning to think I'll still be the same silly old me by the time I hit 60. The only difference is I don't care. I will never feel like a proper adult, and chances are no one really does. We're all just kids with saggy skin trying to wing it somehow. And that's what makes it fun. Adulthood isn't what it's cracked up to be. Neither is childhood. If you're not lucky. My childhood was full of tears, mental illness, hatred, and misunderstanding towards me. Sometimes I feel like I've missed out on the good years of my life. And now I'll have to go to college and work a job I hate for the rest of my life with no one to talk to or love me. I don't know if I've been okay at all for 5 years. I don't know what okay is supposed to feel like. I'm just kinda here. Yeah, I feel the same way. Everyone I know seemed to have had at least a somewhat decent childhood, and I feel sad that I can't relate to that and how I'll never get to experience such a simple time in my life where all I have to worry about is getting inside before it's dark so my parents won't be mad at me. How idealistic and naive I was in my youth. 99% of arguments you want to get into are not worth it. Especially if they're over a political issue or a religious disagreement. However, don't just walk away from the Black Lives Matter issue right now. That's in that 1% of arguments that are definitely worth having. To add to this, one thing I'm slowly getting better at is raising the threshold of having an opinion at all on a given topic. As long as you're operating in good faith and keeping an open mind instead of being lazy. It's okay to decide that you don't yet have enough information to take a side. And doing that will significantly reduce the number of times you put your foot in your mouth and have to backtrack or change your mind in light of new evidence. It's also okay to tentatively lean towards a side and keep it to yourself until your stance is more solid and comprehensive. This means that when you do take a side, you're probably doing so from a confident point and can defend that side more effectively. Furthermore, people tend to take your opinions more seriously when you're not trying to shoehorn one in on every single thing that comes up. On top of that, you reduce the risk of creating conflict with someone over an issue that you're wrong on and/or is relatively unimportant. Goodness knows we already have enough division among people on the important things and don't need to be creating more than is necessary. All this applies both to public things like politics, current events, and to private things like personal drama. The BLM issue is not unique and, judging from almost any Reddit thread over the past week, doesn't lend itself to civil discussion. There is nothing to be gained from such conversations, particularly on an anonymous, extremely left-leaning message board. It may be fun to tell people they are wrong. But no one on this site is changing any minds, and you know it. 99% of the population already hates the murder cop. And rioting is not going to convince the remaining 1%. Never stop challenging yourself both in action and thought. It's much harder to regain energy that you've lost by giving up on things than it is to maintain those levels. This is true for physical and mental flexibility, discipline, strength, skills, relations, anything and everything really. And paradoxically, it's okay to give up on some things. A relationship that drains you more than it feeds you. A hobby that you keep doing out of obligation. Effort for approval of people that do not affect your life and you have no desire to get to know. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more videos.